ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my new video. Today's video I'm going to be reviewing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I have watched the video, I have seen the movie, but I didn't go to the theatre to watch it this time. I refused to pay Disney any money for this. So I have watched it through other means. It was a good copy, so I can't really complain. So this will be a review of the film. I'm going to give a full review with the spoilers. I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I think about the film, the ratings, what I think about the performances, the story, etc. I'm going to go fully into it and why I think this is a very racial, stereotypical film which panders to the Chinese market but it also insults them at the same time. Without further ado, guys, let's get on with the show. So, what am I going to give the film? I'm probably going to give the film 3 out of 10. And I'll explain why. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the title itself, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So, do they look like rings to you or do they look like bracelets? They're definitely bracelets, right? So, they got the rings from obviously the comic where you had actual rings, which was worn by Fu Manchu. I'm going to call Mandering Fu Manchu because that's the original character, and I don't care how much they change the name, it's still the original Fu Manchu. So that is quite a very stereotypical racist character. So I'm going to carry on calling him Fu Manchu for now. So these bracelets, as you can see, they're not individual. In the comics, they are individual rings, and each ring has got its own power. And these bracelets, they all seem to have the same power, and it doesn't explain where these bracelets have come from, how the power is used. Do you need all 10 to work? Can you use 9, for example? Can you use 8? Can you use even 1? Because it doesn't really explain much about the rings. And if you look at the title again, it says the Legend of the Ten Rings. So where's the legend? When you say a Legend of the Ten Rings, you expect there to be a story behind it, a big story behind it, a big legend behind it. It doesn't show any part where these rings have come from or where these bracelets have come from, how Fu Manchu acquired these bracelets, where did he get them from? Do they all come in one pair? Do they all come in different sizes? As you can see, they're all different sizes. So it doesn't really explain much about these bracelets. I think it would have been easier just to keep them as rings, like in the comics. So I'm going to talk about Simu Liu now. And as you can see, there's a lot of there's a lot of stock pictures of him around, and they're quite funny actually. I mean, look at this one. He's got a hat which doesn't even fit. And he's the only one that stands out there, the only Chinese guy with the hard hat. What about the rest of them? Nobody else is wearing a hat. And as you can see, so all of his pictures, he's smiling, he's joking. And these stock pictures basically is what he used to do before. He used to kind of sell stock images and he used to get paid for that. And it was quite funny actually. I mean, some of these images, as you can see. Oh, this is so funny. So he's come a long way from his stock pictures. As you can see, it's quite funny, and he's come a long way. Obviously, he started with stock images, and he's moved up from there. So good on him. He's moved up from his stock images. Oh God. So I just want to also raise this, guys. This guy has got no screen presence. I mean, I've watched the film from start to end. He's got no screen presence. The original Shang-Chi was based on Bruce Lee. And as you know, Bruce Lee has got an amazing screen presence. And Shang-Chi was based on that. This guy is basically a joker, a comedian. And throughout the film, he's obviously he's got a sense of humor. He gets nervous at every point. There's a couple of bits where his love interest is driving the car and he's on the passenger seat and he's like getting nervous as hell. And there's another bit where she's driving the car in the jungle and he's sitting at the back and he's still getting nervous as hell and shitting himself because she's driving a fast car. And this guy is just like a weakling. and he gets beaten up by his sister. This guy is supposed to be the best martial artist in the world. I mean, he is Bruce Lee. I mean, he is supposed to be the best martial artist in the world. Nobody can come near him, and he's so strong that he can beat superhumans and villains with superpowers. He can actually beat them with his bare hands, and that's how powerful he was in the comics, you know. And it was great. And his weapon of choice was the nunchakus, and there was no nunchakus to be seen in this film. And in the comics, basically Tony Stark gave him a powerful version of a nunchakus, which had a reflector on it. So you know Tony Stark's reflector, which is on his palm. Basically, he gave those to Shang-Chi, and these nunchakus had reflectors on it. So every time he would hit someone, these people will fly 100 foot up in the air or 20 foot up in the air, and it was a really powerful weapon. And another thing Tony Stark gave to Shang-Chi was a, a unit which he can fit in his body, a suit basically, and he basically helps him channel his chi and makes him even more powerful, makes him even more stronger. So it's nothing like the comics guys. And the guy in the comics didn't have a sense of humor. He was pretty much a serious guy, and anyone that would fuck with him, he would destroy them basically. Um, so he was a great guy to kind of read the comics. I mean, I've read the comics, and there was one in particular where there was a tournament, and he was fighting all sorts of superhumans and people with abilities, and he would beat them all. He would use his mind, his body. Um, you know, it just goes to show a human with the peak of his abilities can beat a superhuman or somebody with powers, and it was great to see, really. And Shang-Chi acquiring these rings is a kind of cheat, to be honest, because in the comics, you know, he had his nunchuckers, he had himself. He didn't really need the rings to kind of be powerful. The rings were basically owned by Fu Manchu, his father, and 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 yeah. So I just think having these rings is a kind of cheat, really. And I didn't like the film because I don't like the way the film kind of went from. It started off quite well. I mean, I'll admit it started off quite well. Then he went on a completely different route. Then he went on this completely strange, never-ending story, or Lord of the Rings, or The Witch and the Wardrobe, like a fantasy movie with Godzilla in the end, and there was monsters fighting each other like Godzilla. And it started off as a martial arts film, and it turned into a fantasy film and a monster film. Except all of these films were done much better. You know, I don't think this film knows where it's going. And to give you an example, guys, if you watch the first Iron Man film, it's very believable that you know you got a guy here who's a charismatic guy, and he's very believable, Tony Stark. And you can actually believe that he would make an iron suit for himself and fly around. And it was quite believable. The characters were down to earth, etc. But would you like Iron Man if suddenly Iron Man started going into this alternative world where there's monsters and dinosaurs, King Kongs and Godzillas, and he's fighting against these monsters? I mean, are you gonna really like Iron Man 1 if that really happened? No, of course not. You know, it just ruins the tone of the movie. It just makes it really unrealistic and stupid and almost like a kids film, really. And yeah, and this is what this film is for. It's for kids. So they put like sense of humor in there. Um, you know, they don't want to make the man too powerful, so all the women are more powerful than him. Makes him like a jokey character, where you can make a fun out of, take the pee out of. Um, you know, it's just made for laughs, really, made for kids, and it really is not very violent. You know, the fight scenes are not very great. He's hardly touching each other. All these fight scenes were done better in other movies. For example, I'll give you an example, guys. I mean, there was a fight where he's fighting in the rooftops, in the scaffolding, and this fight scene was done better in a film called Chocolate, and this was a female lead, and you can see the martial arts being done here, and you can, this is the bit I was talking about. You can see like people are getting hurt. Look how far this guy falls down. There's no wires. There's no special effects. You know, people do get hurt, and people actually, and it's actually quite believable that you're actually hitting someone and beating someone up. And I want to show you this bit here near the end. And you can see this guy. Literally, this is a real guy. There's no wires. There's no. You can see there's no wires. There's no nothing. It's just falling from the top, and that's what I mean, guys. And even Jackie Chan has done the bus scene as well. And there's a fight in the bus scene, and it's all again all special effects. All it's all hardly touching each other. But you can see Jackie Chan has done this much better back in the day. Jackie Chan is much more. He was much more exciting. He is much more real, and you can actually believe things like this would happen because it's actually happening. There's no special effects. There's no wiring. These are more kind of believable stuff that kind of happens. And I grew up with these kind of films, and watching Shang-Chi with all these special effects going on, and it's suddenly turning into monsters and flying dragons and flying tigers and lions and all these mythical creatures and unicorns. It just got really ridiculous near the end, guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you can see, I mean, these are the films that you know are at the top. These are the films that you want to emulate and you want to beat. And Shang-Chi is supposed to be the best fighter in the world. He doesn't need anything magical to win. He doesn't need the rings to win. He doesn't need any, the gauntlet from Thanos. He doesn't need it. He's supposed to be the best fighter in the world, and it never shows in the film. It never shows how good he is. In the comics, he was such a feared fighter, and he would beat people with power. I mean, he would beat inhuman or people with power, people with abilities. He would beat all of them with his martial arts, and he was a very feared fighter, and everyone knew that. And in this movie, he wasn't feared at all. He was just basically a comedian, and his own sister beats his ass and kicks him in the balls and beats him. I mean, seriously, would that really happen to the real Shang-Chi? I don't think so. And he just made for laugh, and basically this is a woke movie as well, guys, because the female lead is his sister. His sister is basically better than him, and she's had no training whatsoever. Shang-Chi was trained by his father and trained by the best of the best, and his sister wasn't trained at all, and she managed to beat Shang-Chi without even any training. She basically trained herself. Basically, it means that me looking through YouTube videos of martial arts and me training myself and becoming the bestest ever, I mean, how unrealistic is that? Come on, guys. That's not going to happen in real life. No girl's going to be looking at YouTube videos and becoming better than Bruce Lee overnight. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And that's what this film is like. I mean, they obviously want to pander to the Chinese market, but they also want to pander to wokes and woke people, and they want to pander to women. I mean, all the main roles have been taken by women. They've got all the best roles. Even Shang-Chi doesn't beat the last monster in the end. It's his little girlfriend that beats the monster. She uses a bow and arrow, and she only has 1 day of training, guys. 1 day of training with this bow and arrow, and she kills this monster right through the neck, and she kills him dead with 1 day of training. If one person can teach themselves bow and arrow, how to use a bow and arrow and kill this monster, then why is this monster so feared? Why was it, why couldn't Shang-Chi beat him? Not even his father could beat him. I mean, seriously. Anyway, so about the plot. The plot itself is a bit weird, guys. So let me explain the plot. So basically, Shang-Chi runs away from China because he thinks his dad is evil. His dad doesn't train his sister. So he gets a bit pissed off and he runs away from China and goes to America, runs away to America. So this is where the stereotypical racist Asian stuff comes from, really. He runs away to America and he gets this valet job with his girlfriend, and he's happy. You know, he's happy with his life as a valet. Basically means that, you know, as long as he's away from China, as long as he's run away from China's strict regime, because his dad was very strict and stuff like that. So basically, that's the whole story. He runs away from China, runs away from his dad because they're very, very strict, and he doesn't realize he doesn't like him. He doesn't like China, and he goes to America to live the American dream. And he's happy being a valet. He's happy taking any old job as long as it's not China. And that's the message he's trying to say. And it's also giving the message to Hong Kong people. A lot of Hong Kong people leave good jobs behind and good lives behind in Hong Kong, and they go to the West, and they can't get work. So I'm meeting a lot of Hong Kongers getting really shitty jobs, like working in supermarkets or doing cabs, taxis and stuff. Really, really sad. And but they're happy because they left Hong Kong apparently. It's that's the message is trying to say. Leave China, leave this really strict regime, but whatever you do in America, whatever job you get, even if you have to clean up street poo, you'll be happy because as long as it's not China, it's America. That's the message they're trying to say. And another message, this is really stupid message, guys. Another message is when Shang-Chi was younger, his mum was killed in front of him, and obviously that's the reason his father, Fu Manchu, basically became evil because you know because he saw his love of his life died in front of his child. So he obviously was angry about that. So he took up the 10 rings again, and he started training his son. And but don't you think that Shang-Chi would be angry as well that his mum died, and train even harder to make sure that nobody of his family gets killed again? Don't you think that's gonna happen? Don't you think that's like a normal human being? If your mum dies, for example, don't you think you're going to be closer to your dad and closer to your family to make sure the same thing doesn't happen to them? So what does he do? He abandons his father, abandons his sister, and runs away to America. I mean, how stupid is that? That is not realistic, guys. Anyone with a brain, if your mother dies in front of you, and you would automatically get closer to your father, and automatically, you guys will be, supporting each other, mourning for your mum's loss and things like that, and helping one another, and becoming better human beings and things like that. No, what he does, he runs away to America because that's the answer to everything. Not running away to America. So it's a kind of stupid, guys. A really bad message. Um, he fights his dad obviously near the end, wants to try and kill him, because he's fighting for the American freedom, American way of life, and he doesn't want to go back to that life, and he thinks his dad's evil, and it's just really stupid and ridiculous, guys. It's just absolutely very racist, very stereotypical. It's stereotypical that these Chinese guys are being shown as valets and things like that. It's really dumb. So going back to his sister again, his sister, watches other people fight and she trains herself and she becomes even better than Shang-Chi. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. Not only that, she runs away from home when she's like 16 with no money in China, and she runs her own fight club in the top of a skyscraper, basically, in China. So that's stupid on various different levels. How can a 16-year-old with no money manage to organize something like a fight club with all sorts of, people like Wong and Abomination? How can she get clients like that running a fight club in top of a skyscraper? That's one thing. Second thing is, it's in China, guys, and do they think China is like basically Saudi Arabia or something? Because that's the message it's sending. The fact that Fu Manchu didn't train his daughter, it shows that the West thinks China is like Saudi Arabia, where women have no power, no say, men get everything, women get nothing. And that's what the kind of message that the West is trying to show here and portray, that China is a really strict country, women have no say, women have no power. That's what he's trying to say, and the only way she got power is by running away from home. I mean, it's absolutely stupid and ridiculous. And secondly, how can a 16-year-old with no money manage to afford a fight club in skyscraper? And even if she did, right? Even if she did, don't you think the Chinese authorities are going to know about it? Don't you think Xi Jinping will put an end to it, or don't you think there's any law and order in China? They're going to bloody it's in top of a skyscraper, for God's sake. Don't you think they're going to put a stop to it? It's absolutely stupid in so many different ways. Just putting bad, just making China look bad, really, in all angles. And this film is, obviously there is representation, but the film is mainly about strong women. And his girlfriend Aquafina, I mean, she trains with the bow and arrow in one day, and she kills the final Godzilla boss. And she's like more braver than Shang-Chi when she's driving the cars and things like that. He's seen at the back like a chump, shitting himself basically and peeing his pants because she's driving fast. I mean, how stupid is that? And her killing the final boss is like that little girl in Game of Thrones killing that Frost King or something. Can't remember her name, but it's basically they didn't want the man to kind of take over and take the plaudits about killing the final boss. No, they had to get a woman to do it. And there's another bit where she's like in trouble in the skyscraper when she's like in trouble in the rooftops and stuff like that. And does Shang-Chi save her? No, because Disney do not want men to save women. So Shang-Chi's sister comes and saves her. So it's all pandering not only to Chinese people, also pandering to woke people and feminists and women. Because no, you can't have a strong man saving a woman. You can't have, a masculine man. A woman has to save another woman. And a woman has to kill the final boss. The women in this film are all in control. His sister beats his ass, kicks him in his balls. He can never have any children again because she kicks him pretty hard. That's it. His balls are gone. He can never have any children. So his girlfriend probably be pissed off. Saying, "Oh, you can't have any more children. Never mind. It's all right." And his mum is more powerful. The other lady from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I can't remember her name. She's even more powerful. All the women here have really strong roles and strong, powerful women, and the men are pretty much useless, really. Tony Leung is actually a good character. I like the way he was portrayed. Obviously he was the best actor in the movies. Everyone else was pretty much ridiculous. The acting was crap. But Tony Leung's acting was spot on. His performance was really good. Shang-Chi was trying to kill him in the end, but he didn't even get that. He didn't even get the kill of his father. The monster had to go and kill his father. So he didn't even get that. So the monster killed his father, and Aquafina killed the monster. So obviously she's the most powerful, bestest ever in the world. So the film is ridiculous in every sense, guys. Every single sense. So basically, guys, that's my thoughts. I just thought it was a really, really crap movie. This is not a Shang-Chi movie. This is a woke film pandering to Chinese people, pandering to woke people, pandering to feminists. And think about it, guys. What man wears bracelets when he walks around the streets? Do you see a man ever wearing bracelets walking down the streets? Doesn't that make him gay, or doesn't that make him feminist, or doesn't that make him a sissy boy? So that's the kind of message they're trying to portray, with the Shang-Chi wearing bracelets, walking around the streets, beating people up. I mean, you can tell this movie was written by woke activists and things like that. No, they can't have rings because rings are quite manly. No, let's put Shang-Chi with bracelets, shall we? Make him a little girly girly.
What do you
So
see?
the whole movie itself, there's messages in there. If you look at it again, if you watch the movie again, there's hidden messages about wokeism, about female empowerment, about feminism. They can't have a man saving a woman. They can't have a man doing anything masculine. So this is the reason I'm giving this film 3 out of 10. I'm just very, very disappointed with the movie, especially I've grown up watching the comics. I've grown up watching the great martial arts characters over the years, like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and many others, all better than Shang-Chi. And I was kind of excited for this film actually, especially when they showed the tournament with Abomination and Wong. So I thought there would be some sort of tournament fight in there because similar to the comics. But no, that was just clickbait basically. They probably added that as a post basically because they saw this film was getting no interest, so they added that to kind of get more interest out of fans and people and Marvel characters. They thought, yeah, this is going to be like some sort of tournament fight. So let's watch this. But no, there was no tournament fight. There's only two fights: Wong versus Abomination, which lasted a minute, and Shang-Chi versus his sister, and that was it really. There's not much of a tournament after that. So I was quite disappointed. I'm really disappointed that Shang-Chi is not a badass like in the comics, where literally he uses his mind, body, and chi to maximum damage anyone, and even people with powers, were no match for Shang-Chi at the time. So it was. I wanted to see something like that. Unfortunately, no. Marvel had to make him girly, wearing bracelets and crying and being nervous in the back seat of the car. And it's basically a woman's film, and his girlfriend at the near the end of the movie, where she's driving in the jungle, she's in the front seat, he's in the back, and that's just the film. Women are in the front seat in this film, and the men are basically cowering at the back, being scared. That's the whole film in a nutshell. So yeah, I'm disappointed. Disappointed Shang-Chi's not a badass. I can understand why people are liking this film because it is a Marvel product in the day, and with Marvel products you get what you pay for really. You get lots of special effects, you get love stories, you get humor, and it's just a Marvel product, and it's like these products come out of a conveyor belt, and when you see one Marvel film, you've seen them all. They never take any risks. That's one of the things I don't like about Marvel. They never take any risks. Um, and yeah, so just not very happy really. So 3 out of 10 is the maximum I'll give it. Yeah, the film's done well in the box office. It still has to make over 400 million to make a profit. Even 350 million would probably break even. But yeah, if they can make anything over 350 million, 400 million, then that's a profit. And yeah, good on them because I've got no doubt it will make money because I've I follow Chris Hemsworth on Instagram, and on Chris Hemsworth Instagram he's even advertising for Shang-Chi. So one of the things that Disney does is their marketing department, they advertise this film in all corners, and one of the last minute things that they do as like a last final push, if they don't get any much traction or if they don't get much interest, they get the big stars to post it on their social media. So Chris Hemsworth posted it, and a number of other Marvel actors have posted it in their social media to advertise this film. So basically, they called on the big guns, and when you do that, then this film, will get a lot of um, advertisement for free, basically. So yeah, they've done that. They've cheated. They've messed about with the Rotten Tomatoes scores. You know, so ever since Captain Marvel, they've changed the way Rotten Tomatoes works. Basically, deletes any bad comments and doesn't delete any good comments. So you have films with 99%, 98% ratings because they delete all the bad comments, but they don't delete any good comments, and that's what they do basically. It's just something that Disney's bought. They did that with Rise of Skywalker and every other Disney film. So yeah, not very happy about it really. It's just cheating, I guess. But each to their own. If the film makes money, if the I'm sure it'll make money, but I don't think it'll make that much of a profit. Even if it makes 400 million, 500 million, it's not that much of a profit if you think about it. What Disney need is $1 billion movie. Even Captain Marvel made about a billion. So they're still losing around 500 million. So let's see how this film does. I think it's not going to make anything more than 400 million, but I could be wrong. Even if it does, it won't be more than 500 million. I'll guarantee that. So let's see how it does. That's all I wanted to say for now. So I'll see you guys soon on the next video, guys. Let me know what you think of the movie, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye bye.